well, you couldn't see very far because it's always kind of foggy and dim around there, but it's just huge, huge, man. We would be with ours, which were just LCTs, and it was hard to look farther over, and you'd see some LCIs, the LSTs, they're the great big ones, and they were not going to hit the beach until quite a bit later, D2, D3. I'm not even sure any were in there on D1, and so anyway, there and that whole and all sheltered by the destroyers and so forth. And it was huge. It was just a huge armada. You could never see it all. Never see it all. One, because of the weather, and it was still raining when we went. And but when we got over there, then finally got over there, and we stood off the beach. And we stood off the beach for hours. We were, I think, scheduled to hit the beach at something like 6:30, something like that. No way. No way. We just went around, and finally, and they had little boats that went around, which were the beach masters. They go around, and now here's where they're down and talk about being organized. They said, "What have you got?" And we said, "Well, we've got 105 guns, 105 millimeter guns, and so forth." So they'd go by and go somewhere else. So we were pretty sure we could see the beach. We were a mile or so off the beach, so we could see the beach. Had binoculars. We could see that they were not going up the beach. They were massed around the on the beach and so forth, and so anyway, he came by again, and we told him what we had, and he said, "Hit the beach at easy red." This is what I'm going to say, about 8 o'clock, something like that. As we went in, we saw all the sunken tanks that they put canvas around to run them in. That I hear people say that, boy, that worked. It was nice. Maybe it worked at Utah Beach. I don't know. It did not work at where I was at Omaha Beach. They were sunk, and when we got near any of them, we could see the soldiers were drowned inside and so forth. And then there were lots of other boats that were destroyed, bodies all over the place, because a lot of times you would hit the beach, and they'd go in, and they'd be in over their head with all their gear and so forth. So it was terrible. It was just a terrible, terrible scene. There was just a huge mass of ships, of landing craft and everything, and circling around. And because there was no immediate success on the beach, a lot of ships that should have been in, unloaded, and gone out were still there on the beach. So there was a mass of ships close to the beach. It would have been a field day if the artillery had gone out farther, but it was obvious that they were determined to confine their fire to the beach and just off the beach. We're a supply piece of equipment. We bring them in, leave them at the beach, get out of the way for the next guy coming in. Should they have sent 105 artillery in there? If they're not off the beach, no, I don't think they should have. But they, how much does a beachmaster know? I don't know. I don't know who was running the show. The fact that it all got blown up, a shell hit one of our ammunition trucks and blew everybody. The only thing that got off was the first Jeep. I think it had 2 soldiers in it. We had 27 men, and we had 2 guns and 2 trucks full of ammunition, and all the men supplying, as I say, 27 men. 2 guys got off. That's all. Everybody else, and I don't mean wounded, I mean smithereens. There's just a little, when you blow up 105 millimeter shells, it's a big explosion. None of the sailors, because most of us were under cover, got hurt. And so it was all the soldiers were killed, not wounded, killed. First of all, most of us were young. I was, what was I, 20, just 20, 19 and 20. Commissioned at 19, was just 20 going in. I just think all young people have that indestructible feeling until something happens to you, and then you realize you are vulnerable. And so everybody, I think, would concentrate on doing their job. It's too big. The mass all over the place was too big for you to even think about doing any planning or even thinking, were they going to get up the hill? You knew things weren't going well. That's about all you knew. You knew there were a hell of a lot of dead people all around you floating in the water and so forth. The hedgehogs were there, and they had blasted holes in them so we could go through with our ship. We landed alongside another LCT that had been hit and commissioned. There was no activity on it at all. So the fact that there were 2 of us together maybe drew more fire, and that's maybe why we drew some fire. It was a big event in my life. But I lived by it. It was really nothing. Well, after that, I went back and I went out to the Pacific, and there was only one reason I was out there. That was to invade Japan. So, they wanted guys who were experienced, and so we were back in the United States. We came back in the first boatload. The Queen Mary brought back our veterans after the war. So the war ended in Europe, and we were back and had a great time in New York. Everybody was happy to see us. But after a while, we went back to landing craft, and they wanted to know. They said they needed skippers of these landing craft for the Pacific, and I volunteered. And within a matter of minutes, I was in front of a psychiatrist, having known I was on Omaha Beach. And but I just told him, I'm bored, I'm here, I'm in the Navy, I'm not going to get out. We're still fighting Japan, and I know what's up and so forth, and I am experienced. And so off I went. I went out to the West Coast and got on a ship and went to the Pacific, and I know soon I got there and the war ended.